Malone, the president and CEO of the Carter Malone Group.
And I'm Brian Malone, an account executive here at the Carter Malone Group.
Brian is my son, and this is a family-owned business. Carter just happens to be my maiden name. Why is that important? Because we treat our clients like family.
Specifically, the family that we like.
Seriously, if you're a business owner interested in brand awareness or in the middle of a crisis, you really do want to call us.
Check out our website, www.cmgpr.com, or you can call us at our office, 901-278-0881. And while you're at it, check us out on social media, The Carter Malone Group on Twitter, The Carter Malone Group on Facebook, and Instagram as well.
The Carter Malone Group, driven, trusted, and proven.
Hi, I'm Linda Cornish with Seafood Nutrition Partnership. Today we have Kelly Armetta, SMP Ambassador and also Executive Chef with the Hyatt Regency Boston. He will be showing us the Eating Heart Healthy recipes he developed for our program. What will you be showing us today?
Today we're going to be making an Italian tuna salad.
Oh great, well how do we get started?
So let me tell you what we have for ingredients. Pretty simple, we actually have some canned tuna, olive oil, mixed greens, green beans, cooked potatoes, olives, some cucumber, tomatoes, balsamic vinegar, oregano, and some salt and pepper.
That's great. Well, how do we put it together?
Pretty simple. We're going to take balsamic vinegar and we're going to add in some oregano. And then we're going to take this tuna olive oil and we're going to mix that in there. And that's really a lot of good flavor in that. So you really want to do that.
Great.
So we got our dressing, we got our potatoes, we got our salad. So we're going to mix the rest of the salads. Pretty simple. We're going to go ahead and take our lettuce that we have nice and bright, fresh, whatever's in season. If you don't have mixed greens, go ahead and use romaine. We have our potatoes. We have our tomatoes, we have our green beans, our olives, our cucumbers, and we're going to put the dressing inside here. The other thing I like to do is I like to put a little bit of the canned tuna inside here, and as you mix it, it breaks up, and that's what kind of coats the salad.
Great.
Okay, so now we're going to mix our salad, okay?
Okay.
All right, so that is pretty much the salad. Right, now we're just going to go ahead and put it on the platter. And I'm going to use the best tool I have.
Which is?
Which is my hands.
Your hands.
This is perfect. And we're going to put that right on here. I like to say, if you can't trust the hands of a chef, who can you trust, right? So we're going to put our nice little salad here. Then we'll take these little pieces of tuna and then sprinkle them on top.
This looks great, Kelly. For this Italian tuna salad recipe, go to seafoodnutrition.org and sign up for our Healthy Heart Pledge to get tips, recipes, and coupons.
And buon appetito.
Excited to be back in the M1 TV network studio with a great new show for you today. I have in the studio Pastor Saine, and he is the author of Fragrant Fowls. Now, we're going to talk to him about his book. The book is really about his life experiences, and then he talks a little bit about his nephew playing basketball for the University of Memphis. But the true story behind this book is how you can turn your life around. And he's done just that. So it's an inspirational story, and we're going to talk to him about, what made him decide to write the story, Fragrant Fowls. And so we have Pastor Saine in the studio, and we'll be talking to him about Fragrant Fowls after this break. Also, a couple of things I want to talk to you about. I've been out for a while, so a lot's been happening in this world between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. In the last few minutes of the show, I just want to talk about both campaigns and where they stand when it comes to African Americans in this country. They both allegedly have been, pleading their case to black folks. And I just want to know what you think. And if you have any thoughts on it, post it on the Dialogue with Deidre Facebook page, and we will make sure that we read those thoughts, because I definitely have some thoughts, and I'm going to share them with you a little bit later in the show. So we want to hear from you. You know what my email address is, Deidre@DeidreMalone.com. And you know what my Facebook page is. It's Dialogue with Deidre. So stay tuned. We're going to be interviewing Pastor Saine, and it's a heck of a story. You're going to want to listen to this show. We'll be back in a moment. President and CEO of the Carter Malone Group.
And I'm Brian Malone, an account executive here at the Carter Malone Group.
Brian is my son, and this is a family-owned business. Carter just happens to be my maiden name. Why is that important? Because we treat our clients like family.
Specifically, the family that we like.
Seriously, if you're a business owner interested in brand awareness or in the middle of a crisis, you really do want to call us.
Check out our website, www.cmgpr.com, or you can call us at our office, 901-278-0881. And while you're at it, check us out on social media, The Carter Malone Group on Twitter, The Carter Malone Group on Facebook, and Instagram as well.
The Carter Malone Group, driven, trusted, and proven.
Hi, I'm Linda Cornish with Seafood Nutrition Partnership. Today we have Kelly Armetta, SMP Ambassador and also Executive Chef with the Hyatt Regency Boston. He will be showing us the Eating Heart Healthy recipes he developed for our program. What will you be showing us today?
Today we're going to be making an Italian tuna salad.
Oh great, well how do we get started?
So let me tell you what we have for ingredients. Pretty simple. We actually have some canned tuna, olive oil, mixed greens, green beans, cooked potatoes, olives, some cucumber, tomatoes, balsamic vinegar, oregano, and some salt and pepper.
That's great. Well,
Great.
how do we put it together?
Pretty simple. We're going to take balsamic vinegar and we're going to add in some oregano. And then we're going to take this tuna olive oil and we're going to mix that in there. And that's really a lot of good flavor in that. So you really want to do that.
That's great.
So we got our dressing, we got our potatoes, we got our salad. So we're going to mix the rest of the salad. It's pretty simple. We're going to go ahead and take our lettuce that we have nice and bright, fresh, whatever's in season. If you don't have mixed greens, go ahead and use romaine. We have our potatoes, we have our tomatoes, we have our green beans, our olives, our cucumbers, and we're going to put the dressing inside here. The other thing I like to do is I like to put a little bit of the canned tuna inside here, and as you mix it, it breaks up, and that's what kind of coats the salad.
Great.
Okay, so now we're going to mix our salad. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so that is pretty much the salad, right? Now we're just gonna go ahead and put it on the platter. And I'm gonna use the best tool I have.
Which is?
Which is my hands.
Your hands.
This is perfect. And we're gonna put that right on here. I like to say, if you can't trust the hands of a chef, who can you trust, right? So we're gonna put our nice little salad here. Then we'll take these little pieces of tuna and then sprinkle them on top.
This looks great, Kelly. For this Italian tuna salad recipe, go to seafoodnutrition.org and sign up for our Healthy Heart Pledge to get tips, recipes, and coupons.
And bon appetito.
Dialogue with Deidre. I'm your host, Deidre Malone. I am so thrilled to have Pastor Stephen Saine in the studio with me. We're going to be talking about his new book that is out, Fragrant Files. Fragrant Files is a book about the story of Pastor Saine's life. And welcome to Dialogue with Deidre.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Talk to me about what made you decide to write this book.
First of all, let me just say once again, thank you for the invite, and I count it a privilege and an honor to be here. I wrote Fragrant Files because I wanted to chronicle the highs and lows of my life. I wanted to share with others that the path that I have taken can be corrected if you just learn from your mistakes. I wrote Fragrant Files to show others that there's a better way to achieve your goals other than the path that I took.
Okay, and so talk to us about the path that you took.
It was a path of destruction, a path that many young folks are on today with no real guidance. I had guidance, but I just tried to buck the system, as you say, because I had a mother that was hardcore, but she had a nightclub and she would often be gone on the weekend, managing and taking care of a club. So I just wanted to run with the in crowd and kind of got in with the wrong group, the wrong crowd, because I wanted to do what others were doing. I know it was a no-no with her because she was always one with a firm hand and wanted to know where her children was and what we was doing. But I tried to hide a lot of stuff from her that I was doing. But eventually it came out what I was doing, selling drugs, running the streets, into all kind of gang and illegal activities.
Did it start, I remember when I read the book, did it start in high school?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Started in high school around the 9th or 10th grade.
Okay.
It started there, and it just took off from there. I was one who was going to school. I was letting teachers borrow money because I was making just that much money in the street selling crack cocaine.
And was Pastor Saine, was that when crack cocaine was big, started becoming big in our community? What year was that around?
It was around 85, 86, somewhere like that.
Okay.
It was new to me, but it had been on the scene in Memphis a few years before I was introduced to it. But it was kind of in its infant stage, and I was introduced to it not as a user but as a seller, and I partaken in that, and it just blew up from there. I just started selling crack and doing other stuff, and it just took me to another level.
When you talk about another level, I know that your mom, you've mentioned that your mom, we're going to call her an entrepreneur. She was a business owner.
Yes,
she owned a club, and it wasn't in Memphis, it was in Mason, Tennessee. And so did you aspire, I know you were a drug dealer, did you aspire to ever open a business and work with your mom at all?
Yes, well, I did take some of the money that I was making, help her remodel the club, and stock it up and do other stuff. I never wanted to run a club myself because I was so deep into what I was doing with the crack. I was just blowing money. So, that was her dream. She had been doing it years before I had come along with my father until they separated and went their own way doing their own thing. But I did put money back into what she was doing.
Okay, and so you knew what you were doing was wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
So what made you decide you wanted to go down that road and be a drug dealer? You knew it was wrong.
Mm-hmm. Well, as I stated earlier, growing up, watching the guys in the neighborhood drive the big cars, the fancy cars, the money, the clothes, just the lavish lifestyle. Wanted to be a part of that. It just made me feel a part of. I feel like I was something. I felt like the man, as you can say, and I just wanted to be a part of it because it looked like it was the thing to do at the time.
So do you feel like it was the easy route rather than going down that path of getting your education and being able to make money legally?
Yes, ma'am. I thought that was the path. Okay. I didn't take into consideration that I would need to do the right thing. I need a job. I need a career so I can be a Social Security later on in life for myself. I thought, hey, you choose and pick your path, and that's the way you go. And I thought, hey, without any consequence, I knew it was wrong, but not to the extent that it would bring me jail time. Because I thought it was just, hey, I'm young. What they gonna do to me? And but I found out.
So talk to me about. I mean, apparently you were a big time drug dealer, selling a lot of crack cocaine. And how much money would you think that, if you would say on average, you made in a year?
In a year, I would say in a year I probably bring in right at 900,000, close to $1 million.
$1 million? Okay, and then with that, what would you do with it? What would you do with the money when you made it?
I would spend it on cars, clothes, cribs, remodeling my mother's house. I even bought her a new house, taking lavish vacation, taking the whole community out, to Adventure River and things of that nature, just blowing money, trying to be positive in the community, even though I know it was negativity on my behalf, but I wanted to do something good for others that were less fortunate as I was at the time. So I was just blowing it, not thinking that one day I would probably could have put it to good or better use and been better off than I am today. But I've learned that anything you get fast, go fast.
Right. So when did you get caught?
My first charge was in 92.
Okay.
92. I was riding one day. I was home actually, and a friend of mine, he was a big drug dealer as well. And had another guy call me and said he wanted a few ounces of powder cocaine. I was out at the time, so I told him let me call another friend. And so this friend brought it over. My stepfather at the time, he worked for the sheriff department. He came home that day, and I told him I needed him to take me to make a run. Back then, we would call them mules.
Okay.
Somebody to help haul it without bringing attention to us. And so he did that. He said, give me a minute. He took off his gun belt, laid it down. And this friend, this guy that wanted the crack, he had been buying crack from me all the time, but he had caught a charge. Okay. So he turned informant. And so got caught up with my friend, this guy, and my stepfather. So he ended up losing his job.
Your stepdad lost his job.
He lost his job working for the sheriff department. And so 92, that was my first charge.
Okay. And so there really are no true friends in the criminal game.
It's just wolves trying to take out wolves.
Yeah. I don't know if you watch Power on TV.
Yeah, I saw it a couple of times.
Okay, because that's kind of the backdrop of that kind of story, but it happens every day in inner cities. Where was your primary territory? Was it Memphis? Was it Mason?
I was all over. I was Memphis, Mason, Millerton, Collierville, Moscow, Mississippi, Ripley, Dyersburg. I was all over, and that's why the money was so lucrative and so large, because I was serving I mean, everybody. But my main stint and stay was Mason and Milton.
Okay.
Because my mom had a club there in Mason, and because I met my children's mother in Milton, so therefore it gave me a battleground there in Milton. So I was back and forth from there, Milton and Mason, and because I knew folks from all over and had family in Moscow and Somerville, so that kind of expanded my empire and what I was doing.
So were there ever any times, and I don't think you mentioned this in the book, that there were conflicts between other area drug dealers and you?
No, because everybody kind of knew my reputation because of my mom. They knew that I was a pretty nice guy. I was easygoing. Just as long as you didn't cross me or try to rob me or take nothing. Even if I gave you drugs and you didn't pay me, I charged it to myself. You just couldn't get no more. But if there was ever a time when you thought you was going to take something to rob me, then drama would come. And we had a few incidents like that, but we settled it right quick. And they got the message right quick. It was times even when I would give folks drugs to sell. They would come in big. They wanted to get on. They needed money. They was hurting, and I would explain to them that, hey, you asked for this, so you need to show back up with the money. Time is given, and most of them would, but you would have a few that would try to dodge you because they would make the money, and it would come so great to them, and they didn't want to
turn it over to
turn
you.
it over. And so we had to use force, and so we had a few incidents like that. Even one time we had a shootout in Galloway, Tennessee, with some guys from Chicago came down. They started off doing great. They was buying drugs at first, and I guess trying to build that trust up in me. And so they all of a sudden wanted what we call a front. Can you front me some? My money low. Gave them the drugs. A few weeks went by, I hadn't heard from them. Started thinking, okay, something's going on. Took a drive out there. They sent their sister to the door. They're not here. I know they're there because we got a phone call
That they were there.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, so I hear them in the background talking. We're not coming out, and we took that. So we just started shooting in the house. Yeah. And so it was some incidents where we had to,
How many times did you go to jail?
I believe 3 for that.
Three times.
3.
And what was the turning point for you when you decided, about what year did you say, this isn't gonna work for me, I need to just stop this illegal activity and get on the straight and narrow?
Well, I went to prison, and I got out in 93. I got right out and got probation because it was my first charge. I ended up catching another charge. This first one was in Memphis in 92. Caught another charge in Mason, right there around my mother's club. They never caught me red-handed with drugs. There was always indictments or people pointing me out.
Okay.
Or them
Trying to
setting me
save themselves.
Exactly.
And giving you up.
Yeah, so I never got caught red-handed with any drug. I would ride up and down the highway, the Interstate 40, with bukus of drugs up under my car bumper, because I would always try to come up with a scheme so if the police stopped me, it wouldn't be on the inside, but that it would be on the outside, and they would be focused on the inside and not on the outside. And so I would put bales of dope up under my bumper, cocaine, and I would use key magnets, put the bag in the key magnet and let the rest hang out and stick it up under my back bumper. But I caught another charge in 94. 94, I caught another charge. And when I caught that charge in 94, they locked me up in Covington, Tennessee this time. I didn't leave Covington. Where I left Covington, came back to Memphis because they had another add-on charge, which meant somebody had set me up, had bought drugs from me and took it to the police, and I didn't know at the time. I was already in prison trying to get out on a time reduction. And so when they brought this new charge up, they gave me 3 charges. And so they ended up going on sending me to prison, which I went to West Tennessee High up in Henning, Tennessee. I stayed there right at a year. And the only way I could get out, they said I couldn't leave there until I served most of that 12-year sentence they
Was
had gave me.
was that federal charges at the time?
No,
it was state.
It was state time.
charges. Okay.
It was state time. They tried to give me the federal because I had a gun one time. They came to my house, the narcotic bust, but my lawyer got all of that dismissed because drugs and guns. Once you got that makes it federal.
Okay.
But So I went back to court, tried to get a time reduction. They told me I had to add on, so I had to pay my lawyer more money to try to get me out of prison and get me sent to boot camp. So they said, no, you can't go to boot camp because you was a hardcore drug dealer. And so you got to serve most of this time. And so I went in and prayed to God. I prayed, look, Lord, I'm ready to leave here. I'm ready to get out of here. Jail ain't for me. And it wasn't even about being scared, because I had been there a while and I knew all kind of friends and folks in there. But just the idea of being enclosed, you know, just
like
being
a caged
animal. Exactly.
Right.
And I just couldn't bear that thought for 12 years.
Right.
And I prayed, and one day the jailer knocked on my door and said, Saine, pack your bags, you're leaving here. And I knew then that God had answered my prayer. Got me in boot camps, and all I had to do at boot camp was 3 months, and I was coming home.
Okay.
And so I went, and they was telling me, guys was telling me, you ain't gonna last in boot camp. Don't nothing but white boys make it through boot camp.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, no, I'm doing these 3 months. I won't be back. And lo and behold, I went, and hey, I stuck it out, and I did those 3 months, and I came home. But I fell off from my promise I promised God, because when I got out, I went right back
To selling drugs?
to selling drugs. And that's why now when guys go to prison, they call home and say, I'm in church and I'm reading my Bible. I said, check yourself or you wreck yourself. We'll say anything when we locked up, but it is truly in you. Because you will say one thing when you get out. I mean, when you get in, but when you get out, it'll be a whole totally different story. And when I got out, Miss Malone, I started back going to Dallas, getting drugs, running up and down the highway. And one day, I was on my way back to Dallas. I had got a rental car. The hood came up on the rental car on the interstate, and the car spun around and another car hit me. And I jumped out right quick and looked at myself, and all the passengers in the other cars and the folks that was on the interstate, they jumped out and they was like, oh, they was like, lay down, you could be seriously injured. Said, we don't know how you made it out of this. And I was just ready to get on down before the police came, you know. But that was God warning me, saying, look, you promised me someone you was in prison that you was going to preach the gospel, that you was going to come out the street and you was going to tell others about me. And it was that cue to let me know, hey, that I was going to either do what I promised him or I was going to die in my sins. And so it was from that point on that I went that 97, I think in 97, New Year's night, watch me night at church, and I stood up and announced my calling. And so it took
So since 97?
Since 97. Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. So it took that accident to really just try and turn your life around, because you could have been dead.
Yes, ma'am.
And to keep your promise to God that I'm going to do what I promised I was going to do years ago, and didn't do it.
Didn't do it.
Now let me ask you something. And you know, I've always been curious about the mentality of a drug dealer. Selling drugs, specifically crack cocaine, primarily to black folk. What, did you ever feel guilty at all when you were selling, Pastor Saine?
Yes, ma'am. I can say I feel guilty, and I feel guilty because some of my customers was my own family members.
Yeah.
My sister, my stepdad, first cousin, and but at the same time, I have to be honest, I didn't feel guilty because when you're getting money like that and you're getting it as quick and it's coming the way it's coming like that, all you see is the dollar sign.
Right.
You don't see no kinfolk, you don't see no color, no creed, no religion, you don't see nothing. I even had lawyers and doctors and police officers I was serving. So I felt guilty, but I didn't feel guilty.
Okay.
And I guess it took God taking me through what he took me through to say, hey, you wrong. You know, instead of being a help to the people, you're helping them in their mess. And so that's where the guilt came on later on. And it took me to go through that to know that, hey, it's wrong. I even had to tell a cousin of mine, he came and asked me, he said, look, it don't say in the Bible that you can't sell drugs. Now, I hadn't even started preaching yet. But I said, no, it don't say you can't sell drugs in the Bible, but it do say obey the laws of the land.
Exactly.
And that's one of the law of the land. So, you know, hey, we can't make no excuses or justify what we're doing. If you're wrong, you're just wrong. You know.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back, and then I want to talk to you about what you've been doing as a pastor, and then I want to talk to you about the University of Memphis and your nephew. Okay? You're watching Dialogue with Deidre. We'll be back in a moment.
Malone, the president and CEO of the Carter Malone Group.
And I'm Brian Malone, an account executive here at the Carter Malone Group.
Brian is my son, and this is a family-owned business. Carter just happens to be my maiden name. Why is that important? Because we treat our clients like family.
Specifically, the family that we like.
Seriously, if you're a business owner interested in brand awareness or in the middle of a crisis, you really do want to call us.
Check out our website, www.cmgpr.com, or you can call us at our office, 901-278-0881. And while you're at it, check us out on social media, The Carter Malone Group on Twitter, The Carter Malone Group on Facebook, and Instagram as well.
The Carter Malone Group, driven, trusted, and proven.
Hi, I'm Linda Cornish with Seafood Nutrition Partnership. Today we have Kelly Armetta, SMP Ambassador and also Executive Chef with the Hyatt Regency Boston. He will be showing us the Eating Heart Healthy recipes he developed for our program. What will you be showing us today?
Today we're going to be making an Italian tuna salad.
Oh great, well how do we get started?
So let me tell you what we have for ingredients. Pretty simple. We actually have some canned tuna, olive oil, mixed greens, green beans, cooked potatoes, olives, some cucumber, tomatoes, balsamic vinegar, oregano, and some salt and pepper.
That's great. Well,
Great.
how do we put it together?
Pretty simple. We're going to take balsamic vinegar and we're going to add in some oregano. And then we're going to take this tuna olive oil and we're going to mix that in there. And that's really a lot of good flavor in that. So you really want to do that.
Great.
So we got our dressing, we got our potatoes, we got our salad. So we're going to mix the rest of the salads. Pretty simple. We're going to go ahead and take our lettuce that we have nice and bright, fresh, whatever's in season. If you don't have mixed greens, go ahead and use romaine. We have our potatoes, we have our tomatoes, we have our green beans, our olives, our cucumbers, and we're going to put the dressing inside here. The other thing I like to do is I like to put a little bit of the canned tuna inside here, and as you mix it, it breaks up, and that's what kind of coats the salad.
Great.
Okay, so now we're going to mix our salad. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so that is pretty much the salad, right? Now we're just gonna go ahead and put it on the platter. And I'm gonna use the best tool I have,
Which is?
which is my hands.
Your hands.
This is perfect. And we're gonna put that right on here. I like to say, if you can't trust the hands of a chef, who can you trust, right? So we're gonna put our nice little salad here. Then we'll take these little pieces of tuna and then sprinkle them on top.
This looks great, Kelly. For this Italian tuna salad recipe, go to seafoodnutrition.org and sign up for our Healthy Heart Pledge to get tips, recipes, and coupons.
And buon appetito.
Taylor Brown Apothecary is your community drugstore. Their licensed professional pharmacists provide excellent service while filling your wellness needs. They have $4 generic plans and they accept all major insurance providers. And they even offer free delivery for senior citizens. At Taylor Brown, they pride themselves on the personal care and attention they give every customer. Ask about their uninsured discount pharmacy program. The Taylor Brown Apothecary is your community drugstore. They're located 3333 Shelby Drive. Give them a call today at 901-794-3690 or visit them online, TaylorBrownGroup.com. The Taylor Brown Apothecary is your community drugstore.
Welcome back to Dialogue with Deidre. We have Pastor Stephen Saine in the studio, and we're talking about his new book, and it was published, River House Publishing published this one. Shout out to my girl LaTrivia Welch, Fragrant Fouls, and it is about Pastor Saine's life, and he's lived one. He's lived one that has been full of, been to jail a couple of times due to being one of the big time drug dealers in this region back in the day, but he's turned his life around, and he's the pastor of Higher Heights Christian Church here in Memphis.
Yes.
And so before we went to break, you talked about your turning point. What made you keep your promise to God that you were going to change your life around? And so what have you done since that point?
Years ago, I guess in 2007, I founded a church, Higher Heights Christian Church, and that's what I've been doing over the last 9 years, pastoring this church. We've been growing by leaps and bounds. Started with 2 members, and now on road we sit at right at 400 or 500.
It's a
we
blessing.
see 75 to 100 a Sunday. On a good Sunday, it may go over 100 and something. And so we just doing ministry. We just try to stay busy, keep the young folks active and involved. We have a different race of people, white, few mixed folks, mainly African American, but we just try to do ministry and try to keep our promise to Him.
Well, if I can say one thing about you, Pastor Saine, just from reading the book, your story is one that you've always been one that has been concerned and cared about your family. Even in your criminal activity back in the day, you still looked out for your family. And one story that is in the book briefly is about your nephew, Pierre.
Yes, ma'am.
Talk to me about Pierre and his experience. Apparently he was pretty good at basketball and still is. Talk to me about Pierre and when he was growing up and how he played basketball, and then we're going to get to talk about the University of Memphis a little bit later.
Well, Pierre, like I say, he's my nephew, he's my sister, youngest son out of 2. Pierre was a project. He was a big kid at an early age, still a big guy now. 6'8", very muscular, one who used to have a temper and an attitude out this world. I mean, we called him Dirty Red. He's a bright red guy. They say he was light bright, almost white, but he was mean as a rattlesnake. And for some reason, couldn't no one deal with him but me. He would always look up to me, and I guess he looked up to me because the spotlight I held at the time, and he wanted to be that. So normally when you're in the spotlight yourself and you got family members that look up to you, they mainly look up to you because of what you're doing and who you are at the time. And so he looked up to me, and so I the only one can really handle him. He was going to Treadwell at the time, and I had moved back from Dallas, me and my first wife. And Pierre was trying to, where he was involved in gangs. He loved to attract attention. He was one who fought every day. He stayed with my mother because of the situation with his mother. And so I ended up getting custody of him, because my mother couldn't take care of him and his brother.
How old was he when you got custody of him?
He was 13. I think he was like in the 7th or 8th grade, something like that. And so I got custody of him, and as you stated, he was a basketball player. He was good. At the time, I had moved back from Dallas. I had been away. I didn't know how good he was in basketball. That wasn't the reason I took him. I took him because I saw him headed down the wrong road, and he was trying to take a path that we never took. As a family, we always kind of fought our own battles. We didn't run with gangs really, even though we kind of got involved in a lot of different stuff, but we just tried to keep him away from things like that. So I saw him going down the wrong road, so I tried to pull him in and give him comfort and shelter.
Okay. And so he got really good. He played for
Ridgeway.
Ridgeway.
Mm-hmm.
Played for Ridgeway, and he was being recruited.
Yes, ma'am.
And who was he being recruited by?
He was being recruited by the University of Memphis. The head coach at the time was John Calipari.
Okay.
So
And so talk to me about that recruitment process. Were you involved in that recruitment process? Were they coming to you trying to get Pierre to attend the University of Memphis and play ball there?
yes, ma'am, they were. Like I said, at the time, he was highly recruited all over the nation for his gifts and his talent. He was a big kid. He was known all over this city and abroad because of his size and his dominant force as a basketball player, especially in the middle. And so Calipari and his coaching staff, them being in the city, they had they had first choice. They had, hey, we're right here in this city, so we're not going to let anyone else get them by all means necessary.
Right.
And that's what they did. They sought him and they sought him, and they knew the only way to get him, me being his guardian, he really couldn't deal or talk at the time, being a minor. They had to come through me.
Now, what year was that around?
Around 2004, because
Okay.
he went to the University of Memphis in 06. So they was recruiting him around 03, 04 up in there. They really was looking at him even his freshman year, 9th grade, but they had been knowing about him through the 7th grade. But they really started heavily coding and recruiting him around his 10th and 11th grade year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as a part of that recruitment process, if you're somebody that watches a lot of these, my husband does, and so if I'm sitting there with him, I'm looking at it too. A lot of these sports shows, some of them talk about how parents or guardians are basically recruited for their child. How things may happen that may be illegal when it comes to the rules dealing with, sports, specifically collegiate sports, in terms of recruitment. Were there any times that, and I know you mentioned this in the book, that you were approached and paid for Pierre to attend the University of Memphis?
Yes, it was a paid-for-play deal. As I stated earlier, they was recruiting them heavily, and at the time, I didn't know, that they was, on the pay scale or that they would do this. I had heard rumors from other players, and I'm not going to call the name on air, but I heard rumors from other players that, hey, if you go there, they'll take care of you, And so it got back to me, and Pierre wanted to go to Memphis anyway because he was from Memphis.
Right.
And I even stated that to them. And I guess their way of tying it up and solidifying it all together is, hey, we're going to make sure he come because we're going to make sure you make sure he come and don't change his mind.
Right.
And so that's how the pay-for-play thing came about.
I guess just to clarify, did you ask them for payment or did they offer you payment?
Well, they asked me, they didn't ask me specifically. They went through another guy whose name is in the book. They went to him and told him to ask me what would it take for him to come to the University of Memphis. And I stated to them, at the time I was a felon, and they can get me a job. I don't care if it's at the University of Memphis. I don't care if it was at the FedEx Forum. Just get me a job. He came back and said their answer was they couldn't do that. What else would it take, and how much were my bills a month?
Okay, so it was more so you were really looking for help for employment. Okay, and they came back and said we can't help you to get a job, but we can give you a little money to ensure that Pierre attends the University of Memphis.
That's right.
Okay. So what would you say, Pastor Saine, to someone who might be upset with you for sharing that information as a part of this book, and the purpose for you sharing that information? Because some people, you may feel like you're hurting other families that may need that assistance. What do you say to somebody who may feel that way?
Well, I just say to them, I'm not trying to hurt anyone. This story, Flagrant Foul, was wrote specifically to get my story out. It's not about Calipari. It's not even about Pierre. This story is about where I am now, where I've been, and where God is trying to take me. And hopefully it'll help somebody else that's traveling this same road. I'm not trying to stop anybody from eating. Hey, do what you do. But all I can tell you is there's repercussions and consequences behind everything you do. And so, with that being said, just do what you do. If you feel that it's right, do it. I'm not stopping, I'm not saying that, hey, you can't do it, you shouldn't do it. I'm saying do what you do. I know what I've done, and I know how it made me feel, and I know and I acknowledge that it was wrong. And I know that it's wrong because the NCAA says wrong. And as I stated earlier, Scripture in the Bible even say obey the laws of the land. So if it's wrong, it's wrong. No matter if it's me, the University of Memphis, whoever. I was wrong and they was wrong. But at the time, I needed help more so than them wanting Pierre. They could have helped me without, wanting his assistance. How come we can't just be a word like that? Okay, I see somebody over here need help. Let me help them. Without you wash my hand, I'll wash yours. And that's the point we're at today. So I just wanted to share others, though, if you trust in God, if you lift yourself up and not look down on yourself, let go and let God, you can make it.
So if you, because we want, I don't want to talk too much more because there's plenty more in the book. Parting comments for our viewers about the book. What would you like for them to walk away learning about you and your story? Should it be inspirational? Should it be I walk this path, and I'm trying to educate you so you don't walk it? What would you like the takeaway to be from people when they read your book?
I would like for them to take it as if it is inspirational. And I would like for them to see in the book that, hey, they can walk away and do something different and, live a different lifestyle other than what I've lived. And I say it's inspirational because it's scripture in there, the bag of everything I say. As I stated earlier, this book, 85% of it is about me. 10 to 15% is about, Calipari and Pierre. So it's really not about them. It's about, as I stated, where I'm going and where God is trying to take me. Where he's trying to take me is to enlighten others, that many will perish without the lack of knowledge. And if you don't have that knowledge and that firsthand knowledge, you're going to fall. And so I feel, and I'm trying to stop others from falling where I feel.
Wonderful. Thank you, Pastor Stephen Saine, Flagrant Fouls. And Pastor Saine, where can someone purchase this book?
They can purchase it from ebook, Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com, and of course, as you stated earlier, River House Publishing.
Don't you have a website?
Yes, ma'am. I have a website. Thank you for reminding me. I've been going so fast. www.stephensaine.com.
Okay, and we'll make sure that we put that on the Dialogue with Deidre Facebook page so everybody will know where they can go and buy this book. Let me just say, I've read it. I've had my staff read it. It is a good read. It is easy to read, very simple, and it is very inspirational. So I hope people will go and check it out. Pastor Saine, thank you so much for being on Dialogue with Deidre. I think you have a couple more books in you.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
We'll make sure that you come back after you've written your next one.
Yes, ma'am.
All right?
I'm working on it now.
Oh, good,
Yes,
good,
ma'am.
good. So you're watching Dialogue with Deidre. We'll be back in a few moments with some final comments. So stay with us. President and CEO of the Carter Malone Group.
And I'm Brian Malone, an account executive here at the Carter Malone Group.
Brian is my son, and this is a family-owned business. Carter just happens to be my maiden name. Why is that important? Because we treat our clients like family.
Specifically, the family that we like.
Seriously, if you're a business owner interested in brand awareness or in the middle of a crisis, you really do want to call us.
Check out our website, www.cmgpr.com, or you can call us at our office, 901-278-0881. And while you're at it, check us out on social media, The Carter Malone Group on Twitter, The Carter Malone Group on Facebook, and Instagram as well.
The Carter Malone Group, driven, trusted, and proven.
Hi, I'm Linda Cornish with Seafood Nutrition Partnership. Today we have Kelly Armetta, SMP Ambassador and also Executive Chef with the Hyatt Regency Boston. He will be showing us the Eating Heart Healthy recipes he developed for our program. What will you be showing us today?
Today we're going to be making an Italian tuna salad.
Well, great. Well, how do we get started?
So let me tell you what we have for ingredients. Pretty simple. We actually have some canned tuna, olive oil, mixed greens, green beans, cooked potatoes, olives, some cucumber, tomatoes, balsamic vinegar, oregano, and some salt and pepper.
That's great. Well,
Great.
how do we put it together?
Pretty simple. We're going to take balsamic vinegar and we're going to add in some oregano. And then we're going to take this tuna olive oil and we're going to mix that in there. And that's really a lot of good flavor in that. So you really want to do that.
Great.
So we got our dressing, we got our potatoes, we got our salad. So we're going to mix the rest of the salads. Pretty simple. We're going to go ahead and take our lettuce that we have nice and bright, fresh, whatever's in season. If you don't have mixed greens, go ahead and use romaine. We have our potatoes, we have our tomatoes, we have our green beans, our olives, our cucumbers, and we're going to put the dressing inside here. The other thing I like to do is I like to put a little bit of the canned tuna inside here, and as you mix it, it breaks up, and that's what kind of coats the salad.
Great.
Okay, so now we're going to mix our salad. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so that is pretty much the salad, right? Now we're just gonna go ahead and put it on the platter. And I'm gonna use the best tool I have,
Which is?
which is my hands.
Your hands.
This is perfect. And we're gonna put that right on here. I like to say, if you can't trust the hands of a chef, who can you trust, right? So we're gonna put our nice little salad here. Then we'll take these little pieces of tuna and then sprinkle them on top.
This looks great, Kelly. For this Italian tuna salad recipe, go to seafoodnutrition.org and sign up for our Healthy Heart Pledge to get tips, recipes, and coupons.
And buon appetito.
Taylor Brown Apothecary is your community drugstore. Their licensed professional pharmacists provide excellent service while filling your wellness needs. They have $4 generic plans and they accept all major insurance providers. And they even offer free delivery for senior citizens. At Taylor Brown, they pride themselves on the personal care and attention they give every customer. Ask about their uninsured discount pharmacy program. The Taylor Brown Apothecary is your community drugstore. They're located 3333 Shelby Drive. Give them a call today at 901-794-3690 or visit them online, TaylorBrownGroup.com. The Taylor Brown Apothecary is your community drugstore.
things with you as we wrap up our show today. On Friday, it was Women's Equality Day. And, you know, we've come a long way, but we still have some work to do in terms of equality. In this day and age, when women who can do the same job as some men still make less money than them, it's a problem, specifically in the African American community. Let me read something to you, for you. African American women must work 20 months to make what white men earn in 12. That is the terrible fact marked today on African American women's Equal Pay Day. 60 cents to the white man's dollar is not enough. Black women earn equal pay, and we need to do something about that. What do we need to do about that? We need to make sure that we ask for what we feel like we deserve when we're in the workplace. And if you know your white colleague, female, male, makes more than you, and you have the same level of experience, you shouldn't be ashamed to ask for what you know you deserve in terms of your payment for the work that you do. So we're going to talk about it again next year on Women's Equality Day and just kind of see if we've made progress. I'm praying that we will. Before we close out, I do want to mention something that was talked about a great deal over the weekend, and that's the presidential race. Democrats have, over the years, been afforded the opportunity to have the African American vote in abundance. So, you know that Hillary Clinton, African Americans, a great deal of us are supporting Secretary Clinton for president of these great United States. So, the Republican nominee is Donald S. Trump, and Donald Trump has tweeted as of late that black folk are not getting what they should receive from the Democratic Party. I want to know what my viewers think about that. I mean, Donald Trump, who has not visited an African American community meeting, Donald Trump, who has not visited an African American church, Donald Trump, who has not visited an African American school to talk to African Americans about what's important to African Americans, but he's saying that the Democratic Party has not been embracing the African American race the way they should. He's got a lot of work to do too. So we should hold both candidates accountable to the African American platform, and I guess the question is, do we have one? And if so, are we serious about it? That's what we're going to talk about on Wednesday when you tune in to watch Dialogue with Deidre. It's been a great joy to be with you today, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Dr. Ivory Taylor's coming up next with Black Wall Street, and so thank you so much for watching our show, and we want to hear from you. Go to our Dialogue with Deidre Facebook page or email me at deidre@deidremalone.com. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you on Wednesday.